Hi, it's so good to see you. Today's video is about insulin resistance. And you may have heard that term before, so I'm just gonna make it real simple. Insulin resistance is something that I started to have. And I started having some symptoms of traveling numbness in my body directly after I started eating. And so maybe about 15-20 minutes after I would start to eat, I would start to feel this numbness in my tongue, in my lip, sometimes traveling, especially in my left eye, in other places in my body, sometimes towards my feet. And I'm like, what is this? You know, I was dumbfounded. And so when I went to the doctor, he said, well, I think you're becoming insulin resistant. And so I started to do some research. And as you probably have known by now, I ran into Dr. Eric Berg on YouTube and really started to watch all of his training. And so everything that I know is directly from Dr. Eric Berg. And so this is what's important to know. Okay, so it's important to know, okay, I had to figure out, you know, what is insulin triggers? How do I try to figure this out? Because I always want, first and foremost, to take care of things in a very natural way. I don't like taking pills. I like going back to the doctor. I don't like making the drug companies rich. Okay, and so I'm not against drug companies. I'm not against doctors. My mother's in nursing. My niece is an RN. So, you know, I go to the doctor when I have to. But, you know, if I can at all stay at the doctor's office, I try to do that. So I had to figure out, okay, what are the insulin triggers and how can I make this better? And what really triggers insulin to really spike in your system is eating a lot of table sugar, eating lots of fruits high in sugar, that's kind of hidden sugar, like pineapples and apples. Regular red apples, like Washington apples, the small ones are 19 grams of sugar. That's like eating a candy bar. I was blown away. I had no idea. And some days, thinking I was being healthy, I would eat sometimes 2 apples a day, one as a kind of a snack between breakfast and lunch, and then one not too far before I went to bed. So of course I had no idea that I was making my situation worse. There's also sugars in dairy, depending on, I was shocked, even just plain yogurt, how much sugar they put into it. So just be very careful and read the labels. And sometimes they add sugar to milk too. Refined carbohydrates, pancakes, waffles, muffins, bagels, breads, things like that. And starches like potato and white rice. Really, the insulin reacts when these things are in your body. And so I said, okay, how do I go about changing my diet to make this better? Because to be honest, whenever you eat anything, whether it is a piece of lettuce or a candy bar, you are making insulin react in your body. And so how do we make it possible to keep this to a minimum as much? I was thinking about that, and then I learned about what the cells do when there is high insulin from refined carbs, things like that. When there's high insulin, over time, your cells have these receptors. One of the most important things that insulin does is that insulin is a hormone that allows your cells to be able to get energy into the cell, to get vitamins into the cell, and to get minerals into the cell so the cell remains healthy. When these receptors continue to have high insulin in your blood, the receptors say, oh my gosh, you know, we have all these, you know, energy, vitamins, and minerals, but the receptors start to resist because they say, you know what? High levels of insulin are toxic to a cell. There's only so much of this that they can absorb. And so when the balance is off and you have high insulin, your cells, as a way of your body protecting itself, and when they start to resist, then you have lower amounts of energy, vitamins, and minerals being absorbed by the cell. And so that's not good for the cell. Even though it's trying to protect itself, you're getting less of what you need from the foods that you're eating. That's a problem. What starts to happen is you have what I call a toxic chain. So what starts to happen is your cells start to send a message back to the pancreas saying, hey, we're not getting the energy, the vitamins and minerals that we need. Send more insulin. Your pancreas sends more insulin, but now it's toxic to the cells and the cells are resisting. So it becomes worse and worse and worse. And here, when your body's trying to protect itself, your cells are resisting, and over time you have different degrees of resistance. It may start out 10, 20%, but over time, as this problem gets worse and worse and you have this toxic cycle going on, then the degrees of resistance get higher and higher and higher, until the point where your pancreas is so tapped out from the cells saying, hey, we don't have what we need, send more, and the pancreas starts to shut down. When the pancreas starts to shut down and not produce insulin, that's when you start to go into possibly developing full-blown diabetes, because then your blood sugar goes up, your pancreas is not producing the insulin that it needs to take care of the sugar in your blood, and you get diabetes. So that's why keto for me was a very good solution, because it's teaching me how to, that along with intermittent fasting, giving my pancreas a break, not always having insulin released in my body, because like I said, every time that you eat, you're triggering insulin. And so if you're doing intermittent fasting, you're giving your body time to heal from the high insulin that's in your body. You're giving your pancreas a break, and you're giving an opportunity for the cells to repair themselves and not always feel like they have to fight against what's trying to help them in the first place. And you see how eating sugars and refined carbohydrates and lots of starches that can quickly convert into sugar, how it really helps you. And so if you do that, if you cut out the sugar and the carbs, and you make sure you eat your 7 to 10 cups of veggies a day, you're well on your way to really improving your health, taking control, and being healthy and happy. So I hope that you learned a lot today, and we'll be talking more about insulin resistance and how it can lead to diabetes and other videos. So I'll see you next time.